Welcome to Leon the King TV. We here. Um, it's a lot going on in the world of wrestling. Hit the notification bell. Subscribe to the channel. Thank y'all for chilling tonight on Wednesday. Turned Up Wrestling Podcast. It's the Turn It Up Wrestling Podcast. And yeah, man, it's a lot of stuff going on in wrestling. But we here, we're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna be honest, I like the last 2 weeks of Monday Night Raw. Raw been busting these last 2 weeks. Raw has been like busting these last 2 weeks. And like we got the return of Rhea Ripley. We got that whole storyline with her, Dominic Mysterio, Liv Morgan. But I'm gonna be honest, Rhea's return was whack. Rhea's return was so whack because she came back, and I mean, you got to give the storyline its time, I guess. But I was kind of expecting her to come back and put Dom through a table or something, because it was like she came back, and she came back kind of soft from her injury. And I know we got this big match leading up to SummerSlam in a couple weeks or so. And it's Liv versus Rhea for the World Women's title. And I don't even know how I feel about that, man. I mean, it won't be my favorite match on the card. But I will say this though. She came back hella early from that injury. Rhea Ripley came back so quick. It was like the moment she came back, it felt like she just got injured a couple weeks ago, and it was back in like May or June or something. It was a little bit after Mania she got injured. She was out for a couple months, but I thought we weren't going to see her to Rumble next year. You know what I mean? To Royal Rumble next year, but she came back just in time for SummerSlam in a couple weeks. It's crazy. Rhea's return, the whole thing with Dominic, and this is how I would book it. Maybe next week or the week after the week of SummerSlam, you do a video, you do a promo or a segment where Rhea comes out, cuts the promo. Dominic comes out, cuts the promo with her in the ring. Liv comes out. Liv Morgan's music hits, cuts her little promo, and then she shows a video on the Titantron of her and Dominic backstage doing some tongue action. That's what I would do. That's how I would book it. What was that? The TV. What was that? But yeah, doing some tongue action. Then you also got, I want to say you could cut a promo after that promo, and you could have them go at it backstage or something. But I think that will be perfect the week of SummerSlam for the go home show. We got the whole Damian Priest, and I'm not gonna lie, last week's Raw was pretty good. The match with him and Braun Strowman, but even this week's Raw was even better. And I'm like, man, Raw was a bust. I was posting on Facebook. I was talking in the group chat. I'm like, Raw was pretty dang good this week. And I mean, Raw's so good that you have all these great matches and promos. Like the way they open up the show, I'm like, this feels like Monday Night Raw. I'm like, this feels like Attitude Era. This feels like Ruthless Aggression. This is a little. This Raw doesn't even give me PG era vibes. This is like Monday Night Raw when I was watching Monday Night Raw years ago. So I'm like, this feels like a Raw that we haven't had in a long time. Damian Priest Gunther coming out to the ring, cutting a promo. Damian Priest comes out to the ring. We think he's going to talk, and then he strikes Gunther in the face, and we get this huge brawl. Referees are breaking it up, and then they continue to fight backstage. And I'm like, oh, they're beefing up this feud now. So I wasn't really excited for Damian and Gunther at first. Now I am. I was kind of a little not impressed with how they were booking Damian in the beginning with this world title run. Like they instantly threw him at Jey Uso at Backlash. They threw him at, I want to say, Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle, which I still did not watch. Who did he face? Seth at Money in the Bank. I'm like, man, this summer the PLEs and the pay-per-views just flew by this year. I'm like, we already got SummerSlam in a few weeks. So, I mean, I totally didn't watch the Seth and Damian match, and I didn't watch McIntyre and Damian. So I'm like, still got to watch both of those. But this Damian and Gunther match, now they really starting to make Damian look like a world champion. A couple months ago, they was making Damian look like a goof. I was love that he cashed in the title at Mania and all of that, but they was really making Damian. I couldn't take Damian as a champion. He was just like, I wasn't feeling his promos. Now I'm feeling it. Now I'm feeling like I'm looking at the Archer of Infamy. I'm looking at the Dark Judgment Day Damian Priest. We looking at the Rockstar Damian Priest. So it's getting to a point where now I can feel his run as a world champion. He cashed in, and now he's just a ruthless main event guy who's world champion. I like what they're doing with it. I like what they're going with it. But I could already see what this whole Judgment Day storyline is heading, because now it's getting to a point where I see what they're doing with the Judgment Day storyline with their faction. Jey Uso is friends with Damian because you saw what happened at that live event where it was cool and all. Last couple of weeks they've been buddy, and then you got Jey Uso and the whole storyline with him, and it's a lot going on right now because now he's chasing around Rhea Ripley, and we got that story. And this past week on Raw, Judgment Day attacked Jey Uso backstage, and they attacked Sami Zayn. So it's like it's a lot going on with the Judgment Day. The Dominic Mysterio storyline with Liv, and then you got Jey Uso and Rhea Ripley. And I could see what they're probably going to do is Damian will be eventually the one to attack Jey Uso and turn on Jey. Because it's weird how Damian is in the same faction with Judgment Day and is friends with Jey and is all cool and buddy with Jey. But then now you got Finn Balor, JD McDonough, Dominic, and you got Carlito, who's part of Judgment Day now, and they all trying to attack Jey Uso backstage. So I could see where the storyline is kind of heading, where maybe Damian turns on Jey, and then we get another Damian Jey match. I'm not sure, but we'll see what happens. But it's a lot going on with Judgment Day, and Judgment Day got they got a couple of them wrestlers on their factions pretty good. You got Finn Balor, who is huge in New Japan. He was a great run in NXT, former NXT champion, and then you also got NXT UK JD McDonough, who was underrated and a good wrestler when he was at NXT UK. But yeah, it's interesting, and I'm gonna say Carlito really fits that faction. He really fits that faction. It was a little weird in the beginning, but I kind of like the fact that they added Carlito in there, to be honest. But Judgment Day is doing good. It's just a lot going on because you got 2 storylines involving Judgment Day right now. And I know next week on Raw we got that Finn Balor versus Gunther match. But it's 2 or 3. It's like 2 storylines going on with Judgment Day at one time. So they gotta kind of lead. They gotta lead this or connect it, both storylines, or lead it up to something big. But the feud is good. I like what they're doing with Damian and Gunther. SmackDown got a lot of stuff going on. I really like what they did with the Bloodline. Solo Sikoa. We got the debut of Jacob Fatu. We got the Tungas brothers. The Tungas are, I kind of feel like they don't really the fans, of the WWE universe. They don't really understand, or they don't really. It feels like they don't know the Tunga brothers. When you look at what these guys did in New Japan, their body of work in that promotion is pretty good. Being part of the Bullet Club and being in the same faction with Finn Balor and Cody Rhodes and all these guys, But it's interesting because Cody Rhodes was also a former Bullet Club member when he was in New Japan as well. So you got Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa. We basically got the new bloodline. And they just signed a new Tonga as well. Solo's bloodline, I think, is pretty good. The faction is good. I like the Cody and Solo feud. I am going to watch the SummerSlam match in a couple weeks. But I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good match. Cody Rhodes, I did not like the booking in the beginning with this new title run, but now I'm liking it. I'm seeing him be more of a world champion of the American Nightmare. I see him being, he is the top babyface in wrestling and all of wrestling today. But yeah, I think he's impressing me. I think he's a great wrestler. He's definitely will be on that list of one of the greatest of all time, but he is the top babyface in this era today. Solo versus Cody at SummerSlam. How I feel about it, I want to watch the match, but I do think we get the return of Reigns at SummerSlam since losing at Mania, and they're eventually going to build up a Bloodline versus Bloodline match at Survivor Series later this year. That's what I see happening, and that makes the most sense. But I also think with Cody Rhodes, I think Orton comes back after being attacked to help Cody fend off Solo in the Bloodline, and then eventually somehow I think Orton attacks Cody, turns on Cody, and then we get another 1,000 Orton heel turn. We get another Orton heel turn, and they're going to build up probably Orton versus Cody at Bash in Berlin, and they'll do Orton one more time at Bad Blood. That's what I think. I feel they're keeping that title on Cody. Orton turning on Cody is sick to me. That's a great idea. I definitely think you can book it at Bad Blood. You could book it at Bash in Berlin because that pay per view is going to be out the country next month. I mean, 2 months from now. But yeah, SmackDown was pretty good last Friday. Trying to figure out what else happened. They gave Tiffany Stratton a great promo. I mean, a video package, whatever they call it. Um, Kind of now that she's Miss Money in the Bank, and we get that Nia Jax and Bailey match at SummerSlam, and I think that's when we get the cash in of Tiffany Stratton for the women's championship. Like it almost seems like every SummerSlam when the women have a women's championship title match, somebody who's Miss Money in the Bank comes and cashes in. And I honestly think it's not a bad idea if you have Tiffany cash in at SummerSlam. Tiffany Stratton is not going to feel her cash in because she's basically the Mandy Rose replacement since Mandy Rose was released from NXT. She's basically that new, replacement Mandy Rose. That's what she is. And I think that she is going to cash in at SummerSlam. Uh, and I think it will happen when Nia wins the title. Um, I don't have interest in Bailey winning that match. I don't have interest in Bailey being a champion. I think Bailey is a great wrestler. Um, I think she's very good and she's very great in that ring. She's charismatic, but I'm kind of past this concept of we have to push all four wrestlers who are in the four horsewomen. Charlotte always comes back and gets a title shot. As soon as she's back, we y'all I don't I mean you know how I feel about y'all all know how I feel about Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch comes back, gets championships, gets injured for 5 months, comes back 5 months later, gets a title shot, wins. I mean, SummerSlam 2021, they did Bianca dirty. Let that woman go sign with AEW. You got too many women. You're getting too many women on that roster in that division to be pushing three women who are only in four horsewomen. You got Jade Cargill. You got Zelina Vega on Raw, who basically to me is standing out, and I definitely think they're building up her getting that title shot. And I was gonna say who is the totally forgetting who's the champion on Raw. Oh, Liv Morgan. I think if Rhea takes the title off Liv, Zelina gets a shot. Would that mean that Zelina gets a shot at Rhea? And then we basically, so if Zelina faces Rhea for the title, we're basically getting a rematch from last year's Backlash. And then Zelina, well, I don't know. They're not going to put the title on her that soon. Or would they put the title on Rhea already, take it off Liv, and let Rhea hold it for a while? I don't know. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Because basically the question is on Raw for the next rest of the year, who is going to be our women's world champion? Do we constantly take it off people? Or do we give somebody a decent amount of time with that title and have a long title run? That's a very good question. I just asked myself. Zelina Vega is standing out and they're letting her be herself, and that's great. Because we got too much cultural women in that division and that promotion that ain't being booked right. She's ready to be a world champion or hold that world title. So I want to say last month, I believe, or this month or last month, one of these months, we got the debut of Wyatt Six. Um, this is how you know they're doing good with taking their time. But what they're failing on, to me, also another part of me, and I'll say this, but another part of me feels like they're failing already as soon as they got them. You have Bo Dallas, who's RIP Bray Wyatt's brother. You have you have I think a dude from who was on NXT. Oh, Joey Gacy, who used to be in Schism. You got Dexter Loomis, who they hadn't booked in almost a year, and he was signed with the promotion. You had Nikki Cross, who I believe might be Sister Abigail. I'm not sure. But this faction, I liked it the first night they debuted on Raw. It was like we were watching some horror movie type. It was good. It was like we were watching a literal horror movie. Because that's what Bray's gimmick was. But when you watch that backstage segment, and right after that Jey Uso match, the lights went out. And then you start hearing, you see all the lights in the arena, everybody's cell phone, and then you hear the piano music playing Bray's theme. You hear the lights music come out, start playing. We see Sister Abigail, aka Nikki Cross. We got bodies laying out backstage. You know what I'm saying? It looked like a freaking horror movie. We got Carmelo Hayes laid out. You had Gunther laid out. You had Chad Gable laid out. With like blood coming out of his head. It was good. They did great. You saw Uncle Howdy backstage. It was all great. But a week after that, a week later, it's like we forgot everything happened. You forget everything happens, and then now you basically you got them feuding with Chad Gable. And I'm gonna be honest, I like Chad Gable's heel run. I like Chad Gable's heel run. Now that you got him with what was I gonna say? I like Chad Gable's heel run, especially when you put him with Creed brothers. But the match for the Wyatt Six, and I'm not gonna lie, I think with the Wyatts, if you put them versus Judgment Day at SummerSlam, that's a match. I mean, no, not SummerSlam. If you put them at, excuse me, Survivor Series, if you book it at Survivor Series, that would be great. You have Dexter Loomis, you have Joey Gacy, you have Nikki Cross, you have Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas. You and then and then you can put them against JD McDonough, Finn, Dominic, Damian, Rhea. Rhea can face Nikki because you got two females in there, so that's perfect. But I want to say that's so Uncle Howdy, Dexter, Nikki. That's four people. If the faction is wide six, then that means we need two more to make that whole faction six people. And who would you add two more people to that faction? I can say this: the first person that you add to that faction, you add Alexa Bliss. You add Alexa Bliss, and then you get her. I don't know. You bring her back as the Firefly gimmick. I'm not sure. I don't know what they doing, but it might. If you could bring her back with that gimmick and mix it with something a little different, but still give us the same gimmick, polished up with something mixed with another gimmick that's a little different than what we last got. Because I'm not gonna lie, Alexa Bliss's Firefly gimmick was great. Everybody was buying the Lily dolls. It was like the merchandise went up. She sold a lot of merchandise that year. The storyline with her and Bray and her and Randy Orton, that was all great. I loved it. It was like a freaking horror movie. I love that type of stuff. But they abandoned that gimmick, and I'm like, it was perfect. Because we've never really had a supernatural female character in the women's division. It was like I was getting female Undertaker vibes. So I liked it. She was the female Undertaker of the women's division. It worked in this era. But yeah, I'm happy we got the supernatural stuff back. Bring it back. Uncle Howdy, we haven't seen him in a year. Bring him back. It's perfect. I think I think you bring Alexa in that faction. The second person I think you put in that faction, if I had to think, I would say Scarlet, but she's in Final Testament. But I think you need like one female in that faction, which is all you need. We already got two. You got Nikki, you got Alexa. Who's the last sixth member in that faction? I'm trying to think. Who would you put in that faction? I'm thinking. Man, it's hard to think. Because I mean, I kind of thought at one point, why not Braun Strowman? Oh, you do have Eric Rowan, which I totally forgot about because Eric is part of the original Wyatt faction. He's part of the original Wyatt family. That makes sense. R.I.P. Luke Harper. But yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you could add Braun. Anybody who was basically affiliated with Bray Wyatt would make sense that you would put in this faction. So I think Alexa is perfect, and I think Braun Strowman would be perfect. That's how you make Wyatt six. I don't know. Like it's Alexa Bliss would be. You can't bring her back with the regular gimmick. I think you have to bring her back with the Firefly gimmick. To me, that makes the most sense. But my thing is, let's be authentic. Let's be authentic. Let's be creative. Let's make this fun. We got to take our time with it, which is what I understand. I respect the fact that we got to take our time with the storyline. You can't rush into everything. We got to take our time, start it off, and we got to let it grow. When Undertaker debuted at Survivor Series years ago, we had to, the fans back then, the writing and the creative team, they had to let it take its time and let it grow. Ministry of Darkness, American Badass, um, and then the Return to the Dead Man gimmick. So we had to kind of, give it its time and let it grow. I guess same with Wyatt Six. It's just been birthed. It's just been birthed to us all. Now we gotta let it grow. And as it grows, it'll get darker, darker, better, and better. Into something that makes that, amazes me. So I want to go into something better than what it is now. I guess is what I'm trying to say. And this is just the beginning for the Wyatt Six. WWE is making a lot of signings. Tonight, I think there was a new signing. Trying to see. NXT, a Great American Bash is coming up. From what I'm seeing here online, Roxanne Perez defends the NXT Women's Championship against Thea Hall. Big fan of Lola Vice. I like what she's doing in NXT. WrestleZone just reported 7 hours ago. Damian Priest, he did not forget to kick out at Money in the Bank. Oh well. Man, but last Wednesday on Dynamite, MJF versus Will Ospreay was a classic match. I'm like, damn, Tony Khan, like you really had to book a 1 hour match on Dynamite. We just randomly got on a Wednesday. We randomly got Will Ospreay versus a returning MJF. And MJF took the title off Ospreay. They wrestled for a freaking crazy. You would have had to make me filthy rich after that, bro. Will Ospreay, I think, is a great wrestler, but I don't think he's interesting at all. Will Ospreay, I guess, is like that same Kenny Omega level when he was in New Japan. But I don't see, I guess the thing with me is I love great wrestling. I love great in-ring ability. I love great athleticism. I love all of that. You got to show me that you can get down in that ring. But I'm also drawn to your persona, personality, your character, your charismaticness. Are you a draw? Because in wrestling, to me, It's all about your draw. Can you captivate an audience? Can you captivate a fan? Can you captivate fans and people around the world as a pro wrestler? Can you be a star? Can you be a character? Can you captivate? That's what the business is about. Will Ospreay cannot cut a promo. He's like the AEW version of AJ Styles. He can't cut a promo. Just saying. MJF can cut a promo. MJF to me is like that young Ric Flair. He can go toe to toe with like Rock in a promo. He's that type of dude. You know what I'm saying? He has that swag to him, that finesse to him. MJF is great though. He's great in the ring and he's great on the mic. And that man can cut a promo. That we all know that MJF is great. And anyone who says different or disagrees, they crazy. And they don't understand wrestling. They don't understand anything about wrestling if they disagree, in my opinion. MJF, former AEW World Champion, he had that long year title run. Lost to Samoa Joe at World's End back in January. But I will say that whole AEW Devil Mask storyline was great. It was great. Because we all know it was undisputed. We all know it was Adam Cole under that mask who was putting out all them attacks and those hits backstage. And then when he came out at World's End, took that mask off and we like, it's Adam Cole. We was like, oh yeah. And I think he's off. I think they're building it up for the match at All Out in London. I think we get MJF versus Adam Cole. But I also think they've kind of failed with Undisputed Kingdom, Undisputed Kingdom to me is, again, this goes back to Tony Khan's booking. Undisputed Kingdom, we not even seeing. I don't know if I could even, I feel like I don't know if I probably could top Triple H's booking with Tony Khan's booking a little bit. I think it's a little bit, I don't know, it's a little even. But Tony Khan's booking to me is he don't know how to book, bro. It's like Tony Khan is a geek. He's a fan running a wrestling promotion. Let's just put it like that. Because if Undisputed Kingdom should be your top heel faction right now. It shouldn't be Learning Tree. It should be Undisputed Kingdom. It should I was gonna say Dark Order, but we never even see them anymore. It should be Undisputed Kingdom. Adam Cole. And I also think Adam Cole is I think he's stalling. Well, I think they're just stalling for time with MJF because they know they want to have that match at All Out in London. I think they're saving that match. Samoa Joe was done dirty for the world title. I kind of like putting him with Hook. And I guess they're putting him on a tag team run, I guess. But I like it. I like what they're doing with him and Hook. Big Samoa Joe fan. Just gonna say I'm a huge Samoa Joe fan. But AEW is like I would say the Elite could be your number one top faction right now. The Young Bucks, um, Jack Perry, uh, Okada. I think it's good. I would say they're your top heel faction. Um, I like Swerve as heel. You know, when he was with Mogul Embassy, they broke that faction up, but I guess he's more. I think Swerve is more babyface now. Um, I do like his world title run. I do like him as world champion. But I do think Tony Khan treated his title run poorly, just like they did Samoa Joe's. That man didn't get no confetti when he won that title. Tony Khan was like, "Here, put the title on him and get him out my face." It was like that man is that's your first ever, and I'm gonna say this because I am. That's your first, and that he's your first ever Black AEW World Champion. That's history making. He's the first African American, I think, AEW World Champion. Because the first AEW World Champion was Chris Jericho, white. Second AEW World Champion was, I think, John Moxley. We had CM Punk. We had Hangman Adam Page. Um, we had John Moxley again. We had MJF. We have Samoa Joe. And now we got Swerve Strickland. Am I missing anybody? Let me look that up too. All the AEW World Champions so far. Oh, yeah, I was about to say Kenny Omega. About to say Kenny Omega. Um, AEW need to get rid of Tony Khan. By the way, AEW All Elite Wrestling needs to get rid of Tony Khan. There's no. Um, I want to say there's no leadership in that promotion, and I saw that back in 2022 with the whole CM Punk situation with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. AEW, is a odd promotion to me. They had me excited. I don't think I've ever felt a certain way about other promotions that I have with All Elite. Tony Khan is like a careless booker. Um, he's a careless booker, but it's also like, I mean, man, like you know, when you watch his media scrums, you can tell this man doesn't know how to run a company. The best way I could say it is it's like you let the inmates run the asylum. But yeah, man, I talked a lot on this love, bro. AEW, I think, was being founded in 2018. Really? Yep, and it was on YouTube back in like 2019. You could stream it on YouTube and watch it for free because there was a YouTube promotion. They got their first TV deal in late 2019 on TNT before it moved to TBS. And that's back when like it was founded by the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, who partnered with Tony Khan and also Cody Rhodes, the current WWE Undisputed Champion, was basically the founder of AEW. Like 2019, I want to say through like 2020, 2021, 2022, maybe 21. AEW was pretty interesting. It had my attention, especially when they signed Punk. I was like, okay, let's go. You know, this is exciting. But 22, all that CM Punk drama happened, and it carried out into 2023 when he got fired at All Out. And I think Tony Khan announced it in Chicago. But like, they had Rampage, they had Collision. I mean, they got like 3 shows a week. You got Dynamite Wednesday, Rampage Friday, you got Collision on Saturday nights. 3 shows a week. You used to have Elevation Dark. Tony Khan literally is, making 3 shows a week because he's trying to compete with what WWE is doing with SmackDown, Raw, and NXT. It's not even, they don't even draw the money that WWE draws in, though. It's kind of interesting to see how three of the biggest stars basically signed with WWE. You had Jade Cargill, you had Cody Rhodes, and you had CM Punk. All 3 were in AEW, and they went back to WWE and signed with WWE. Very interesting. Um, with Jade Cargill, I was okay with taking the tag titles off Jade and Bianca. Um, you know, and putting it on. Oh, I totally forgot their names. Oh, yeah, I forgot. It was Alba Fire Isla Dawn. I like Alba Fire Isla Dawn on SmackDown, tag team women's champions. Um, they won the tag titles at Backlash against them, and I think it was against Damage Control. But I definitely think what we're getting at Mania next year is Jade Bianca. Jade turns on Bianca if they lose the tag titles again. And that's how we get Jade's single run. Because I was more interested in seeing Jade have a single run on her own and kind of stand on her own 2 feet now that she's with with WWE. But But I think you're just trying to take time and grow it in the you got to let it grow. Take its time with the story. It's good. I guess it's good to have her tag teaming with Bianca now. And then when she turns, you build that into next year's Mania. Let her run through Bianca because Bianca basically has never lost a match at Mania. And she can break that undefeated streak at Mania. And now Jade is your next force to be reckoned with, a woman in the women's division. And you build her up until you give her a title shot. You put her on a title hunt. That's what you do. But I think you keep Jade on SmackDown until she gets a title. Until she probably, I don't know. Would you have her face Nia as champion? I think you have her face Nia, or you could have her face Tiffany Stratton for that title next year, maybe. That's how I put it. Shit, man. These promotions need to hire me, boy. These promotions need to hire me. I know how to book. Well, wrestling is interesting, and it's going to continue. We're going to have a pretty crazy 2024, and strap in your seatbelts because this finna get wild. Hit that notification bell, hit the subscribe button, share the live out. Share the live, hit the notification bell, hit that subscribe button, most importantly, and see you next week. Turn It Up Wrestling Podcast, Leon the King TV. I'm signing out, but make sure you subscribe to Leon the King TV and watch Turn It Up Wrestling Podcast. I'm out.